So for about the past 7 years, I've had a single security camera monitoring the front area of my house. Basically where the street, drives in front of it. It monitors my full driveway and pretty much the entire front area of my house. So if someone comes up into my property, with any criminal intentions, hopefully, they'll be caught on camera, and I'll have some kind of evidence to show the police. And it gives me a peace of mind knowing that, I've got some kind of eye 24/7 looking at the front area of my house, just in case. I've had a Hikvision security camera for about the past 7 years. I'm upgrading to a Hikvision 4K camera that also supports the H.265 compression codec. I did not review this camera. I've already got this one installed. As soon as I got this one in, I replaced it with my old one. Didn't even think about doing a review on it. So I got me another one. I thought if one is good, two is even better. So I'm getting ready to install this one. We're going to talk a little bit about this one. The specs on both of these are almost identical. As you can see, this one looks a little different than what that one looks like. Basically what you have here, you have your camera, and then you have an infrared emitter that for the night vision. I'm not sure. This one has better, both these take the same exact firmware, which tells you that they're both identical, pretty much identical cameras. This one is supposed to have slightly better night vision. I'm not sure exactly where the infrared emitter is at on this, but the night vision specs is supposed to be slightly better. The part number on these, this one is a DS-2CD2385FWD, and it's a 2.8 millimeter lens. It's in black, which is what I wanted. This one is a DS-2CD2385G1, and it's a 4 millimeter, which is what I wanted. I'm hoping to be able to get tag numbers driving by the house with this camera, and possibly even faces through the window, just in case, if I need to identify a car or a face. Hopefully this camera is going to be able to do that. This one with the 2.8 millimeter lens, it's a wider field of view, and it's actually farther away from the street, so I can see the tag, but I can't quite make out the numbers. And I'll show the images. I'll show the images of both these during this video. Now I've already got the base mounted for this, so it's going to mount up there, and it'll be mounted kind of like this. When I get it installed, I'll show you what it's going to look like. These are both what they call POE cameras, power over Ethernet, which means that the power, even though this has got a separate power plug that you can plug a power cord into, I'm not going to use that. All I'm going to use is the RJ45 jack. The RJ45 Cat 5e cable, Cat 5, Cat 5e, Cat 6, Cat 7, all of them have 8 individual strands of wire. Your Ethernet only uses 4 of those, so you have 4 extra strands that's unused. Well, POE, power over Ethernet, is a technology that allows power to be supplied on those other 4 wires to supply things like cameras and DVRs and stuff like that. So if you have a POE switch, which I have a 4-port POE switch which plugs into the wall, it actually has 8 ports on it, but 4 of them are provide power. So I'll have both these cameras plugged in to a single Cat 5E cable, and they'll be powered through the single Ethernet cable, so you don't have to run separate power to them. Makes it very nice, very convenient. So once I get this one hooked up and get it all fired up, I'll come back and I'll show you the what the images look like, what the video looks like, and kind of give you an idea of how, you know, how it records. And I'll go through the specs with it. This is the G1. This is the FWD. So let me get this one installed and we'll go from there. Okay, just to give you an idea of where I have the cameras mounted. This is the G1 that I just mounted. It's right here on the corner of the house, under the gable. And it just gives me a view down that street and that street. I live here on the corner, so I can watch cars pull up, have a view of my mailbox. Well, the tree's blocking the actual view of the mailbox, but if there's a car parked there, I'll be able to see. Or if someone walks up, you know, I'll be able to see who walked up to the mailbox. This is the other camera. This is the FWD version, and it's mounted under the gable, kind of here in the corner. And this one's given the view of down the driveway, and down, I can see straight down that street and kind of out that way. And like I say, these were POE cameras, so I just had to run one RJ45 Cat 5E cable to them. Okay, so just to give you an idea of how I have it set up here on the computer, I actually have shortcuts to both cameras. I've got Hikvision driveway, Hikvision street, and I have, if I don't want to pull up the Hikvision app, not the app, but the actual log into the camera, which is both these icons, I just pull up the BLC. It's just quicker. So if I just want to view out real quick, if I do driveway, I just double click it. If I want to do street, I'll double click it. And I've got the view of the driveway, view of the street. I have dual monitors if you're wondering how that's working. And all this does is just gives me a view. I can't do anything, you know, of course, any adjustments. It's just a streaming view of both cameras. So a lot of times if I'm expecting a package or whatever, I'll just have one camera. That way I can still work on the other monitor and still watch this one. And like I say, these are just VLC streaming the cameras. Now if I want to log in, I click the link there, and then it gets me to the login page. Then I just click login. That one will log in, and we'll go ahead and log in on this one. They both open up over here on this screen, but so now I'm logged into the cameras. There's the driveway, there's the street view, and this is where you manage them. So the driveway camera is the FWD, the street view is the G1. The G1 has slightly better specs. I think I was on a IP cam website that sells security systems, and they had a link. Whenever you clicked on the FWD, they said they were out of stock and the replacement for it was the G1. So I'm assuming, just based on that, that the G1 is the newer version of the camera. Now both of my cameras had the same identical manufacturing date. I ordered the G1 1 month after the FWD, But when I looked on the box, they were both manufactured the same month of this year. I think it was March of this year or something. I can't remember exactly, but they were both the same month of this year. So I thought that was kind of odd that they'd still be manufacturing the FWD if the G1 was the replacement for the FWD. And as you'll see in the video, the FWD has much better night vision. And when I say better night vision, I'm talking without the infrared camera. You'll see the difference with the infrared. In fact, the G1, I leave the camera off, or the infrared emitter. I keep it turned off because it looks. You can see more of the more of what you're seeing right here in this clip. At night, I can see it's almost just as clear as it is now. Of course, it's in black and white, but with the IR on, the yard and the driveway is lit up a little bit better, but the background isn't near as clear. So, and you'll see what I mean. I've got all that. Now the FWD, I've got to have the IR on. It kind of lights up the cars, lights up the driveway better, which is my main focus here, is, you know, protection of my property. But if I turn the infrared emitter off on the FWD, it's so dark that it's almost, you know, it's almost worthless. So the I wish I had, I'm actually thinking about getting me another G1 to put in this spot here for the front driveway, because the night vision is so much better. Other than the night vision, I think both the cameras, the specifications, I think are identical. Whenever you go through the setup, whenever you get into the setup of both these cameras, they are absolutely identical. They take the exact same firmware. Every single option on every single tab is identical, at least from what I've seen. And I sit here and I go through both of them at the same time. As you can see, you know, this is the video setup screen. I've got the same setup on the FWD as I do on the G1, identical. And everything that I've seen so far has been identical. You couldn't tell one camera from the other just by looking at the configuration options here, the setup options. If you go through every tab right there, all the options are exactly the same that you get to choose from. They both have a third stream. If you want to enable the third stream, I don't, because for one, I don't need a third stream. To me, a second stream is fine. But it disables, if you do enable the third stream, then it disables a couple of the features. So just to keep those able to be enabled and adjustable, I keep the third stream off. But I'm going to go ahead and put the video clips that I've downloaded from the cameras and some still images so that you can see the difference, mainly from the infrared being on and off on both these cameras and the WDR being on and off on both these cameras. That way you can kind of get an idea of you know, what these cameras are capable of, and you know, if you might be interested in getting something like this. Me personally, if you have the choice between one or the other, definitely go with the G1. If you can get a really good deal on the FWD and the night vision's not that big of a deal to you, definitely the FWD is just as good of a camera. The one thing, I will tell you, the one thing about the FWD that is nicer, the camera itself is physically smaller. I wish I would have had both cameras at the same time so I could show you the difference, but the camera is physically smaller, so, you know, it's not going to be quite as noticeable, you know, if you're trying to kind of conceal it a little bit. it's going to be a little easier to conceal the FWD. The G1, for whatever reason, is a little bigger camera. That might have to do with the night vision being that much better. I don't know. I don't know if the sensor is bigger, so it's able to gather more light, and in doing that, if they had to make the case bigger, but definitely a bigger camera. And that's again, this is the VLC streaming, and I'll put the driveway one up too. So there's the driveway, and that's what's nice about doing the VLC. You just double click and it's up. It's that quick, and you can sit here and just watch. You know, as you're working, you can watch your stuff. Anyway, I'm going to finish this video off. I'm going to put the I don't have a mic, so I'm not going to be able to really narrate the next video segments, but I do have them labeled so that you can see what the WDR on and off looks like and the infrared looks like. Anyway, let me get this video finished out. That's all I got.